Hi Mesa Tutors, my name is Bree and I'm here to give you some tips and tricks for transitioning to online tutoring. I've been embedded in some online classes for the past 2 semesters and had some time to adjust, so I'm excited to give you some strategies to cope with this transition. So the things we'll be going over today are 2 different Canvas features, announcements and SpeedGrader. They're super helpful. Then we'll go over Zoom and Google Docs, which are also helpful. So let's get started. So I'm at my dashboard on Canvas. The first thing you want to make sure you have access to your Canvas shell for the course that you're embedded in. Now I'm going to choose this class to show you where the announcements are. So the announcements are up here at the top left. So you would click that. Now to make an announcement, you would click this plus button. So that will bring you to this page where you can enter a topic title, the body of your text, and you can also do other things like embed media, links, YouTube videos. Sometimes it doesn't always translate to the email, but it will at least show up in the Canvas announcement. And you can also attach files over here, which is super useful. I pretty much stick to links and attaching files, but feel free to play around with the other features. There's also some other options. I don't usually use these options, but you can check them out if they might be helpful. And then there is there's the save button at the bottom right. It's a blue button that you might see there. Now I want to show you an example of an announcement. So I have one already up. So here's an announcement that I've sent. Now, something I've noticed about online announcements is you really want to use more exclamation points and be a little bit more emotive than you are used to being, maybe in a formal email. So, I even sometimes put like a little smiley face, just like, hey, like, hi, I'm here, I'm human, I'm happy to read your paper or help you with something else. So I always give a greeting, and then this was an announcement for when I had already made comments on SpeedGrader, but also just encouraging students who hadn't turned in their paper yet to still reach out to me. I'm still here. It's okay, even if you didn't turn it in. So that you can see here, if you weren't able to turn in your rough draft, I'm happy to look at it and give it to you when you're ready. You really want to encourage that trust and rapport. That you're not here to be like, you didn't turn in your rough draft, too bad. Here are the instructions I send every time that I send an email about tutoring. And that is because I need these instructions to make tutoring easy for me and efficient. And I know that students might not remember all the things I say in my announcements, so I always send this. And I always just come back to my announcements and usually copy and paste a lot of them. I'll change whatever is relevant, but a lot of it is kind of just like, here's the basic things that we, if you need to get in contact with me. So the instructions I give them are to make a Google document, and this is because a lot of times I get Word documents or PDF, and I don't have Word. I know a lot of people don't because it's expensive. Google Docs is free. So to avoid getting a paper I can't comment on because I don't have access to the application it uses, I make these instructions. I also have them make 1 to 2 comments on their essay explaining what they think is going well and what they want specific feedback on. This makes it more of a dialogue and creates more of a tutoring dynamic, so it's not just here's my paper, here's my assignment, please look at it. It becomes like here's what's going well, and then I reply to that, and it feels a little bit more like a dialogue. So I really encourage that if you are asking students to send you assignments. There's some other explanations of Google Docs, but again, we're going to get into that later. This is an optional thing. I don't do this in all my announcements. Just 2 quick tips on what I was seeing, and I added a video that I had already made the previous semester to just kind of add on to this email. A lot of times I say free tutoring. I try to do really, eye-grabbing title. The other thing with announcements is you don't want to do too few and you don't want to do too many. Too many, their email's inundated, and too few, they kind of forget you're there. So one of the themes of these tips and tricks is balance, have balance. Okay, on to the next feature. So if you want to comment on an assignment that has been turned in, you would click on assignments. And again, important for you to be a TA or else you won't be able to access this. And it also might be helpful to talk with your instructor about potentially making some assignments that are more like check-in, like a rough draft. That can be really helpful considering there may not be embedded sessions. So, you know, hey instructor, could we maybe like incorporate a few assignments? Because that's another thing with the Google Docs feedback that I do is my teacher that I work with, they incentivize it by creating, it's a 10-point assignment. So at least once throughout the semester, they need to reach out to me, not in something I do in SpeedGrader, but something that they do outside of SpeedGrader and outside of Canvas is where they reach out to me via email. So that's just something to consider is talking to your instructor about somehow incentivizing feedback, kind of like forcing them a little bit. But SpeedGrader is great because let's say they're holding off on reaching out to you. This way you definitely will give them feedback even if they're hesitant to reach out to you, and then it kind of maybe makes them think, oh, maybe I should reach out to them for feedback. Look at all this feedback they gave on my rough draft. So we will take a look at SpeedGrader really quick. I just need to, gosh, I keep clicking my tabs and opening something new. So I'm gonna just move this over so we don't see the student's name. So I would click on the assignment that I want to look at, and I'm going to, on the right hand side, you will see that there's SpeedGrader right here. So you click on that and that will open your assignment, and I again have it cut off. You would see the student's name on the top right, but I have cut that off for their privacy. So this is a draft I've already commented on, and I use these little Google Maps dots. You can change the colors up here. So if you wanted to color code it to be like positive or areas of improvement, I generally just kind of do whatever is already clicked. But this is nice because you can click it and then add a comment here. And then if you mess up, like I just did, you would click the trash can icon and it should ask me to delete it. The other way you can comment is to use this highlighter, and this will actually highlight the sentence or word, and then you click this little comment button right here and you would leave your comment. So I'm going to erase both of these. There's a couple other features I haven't really used. I guess there's a strike through option. You can free draw, like if you wanted to circle something. But the two main ones I use are highlighter and the little Google Maps thing. So that would be SpeedGrader. It's kind of frustrating to get out of SpeedGrader because you have to click the gradebook icon up here, which I'm not going to click on to keep the privacy of our students, but that's how you would kind of exit SpeedGrader because there's no really like X button for it. So those are the two main features I use on Canvas, and announcements and SpeedGrader. And announcements can really help incentivize students to kind of reach out to you outside of Canvas. SpeedGrader is a great way to like offer feedback and kind of encourage students to see you as someone who's offering feedback. And it might be really helpful to talk to your instructor about how you can incentivize students reaching out to you and what that might look like for your class. Okay, so now we'll be moving on to our how to use Google Docs. So let me go to my Gmail and let's see here. So I already clicked on it, but this is an email I sent to myself with a sample paper. So we'll click on this, and then like I mentioned, I have students give me a couple comments about what they want feedback on. So I did it in the actual invitation to the document, but it might be in other places. So remember to look around because I've emailed students and been like, hey, you didn't like follow the instructions. You know, please do that. And then I find the comment later and then I feel bad. But that's something to consider for instructions. Maybe I need to make my instructions more clear on where the comment should be. So here's a sample paper. So the cool thing that you can do is you can also offer suggestions. Right now, you can see up here I'm editing, but if you click suggesting, I could actually, I don't use this one that much because it's a little directive, but if it's something you're like, that needs to go, then it would, you know, not actually delete it. The student has to accept the suggestion. But so you don't have to use that, but it is an option if it's something that you want to do. So the other thing you can do, sorry, my bookmarks keep opening as I'm moving this little square. So the other thing you can do is think strategically about which parts of the paper or assignment you want to look at. Looking at student papers can become a little time consuming. It's super awesome, always interesting, but you also want to, try to manage your time. So for instance, I may not comment on the hook here, but I would probably comment on the thesis down here. So that's just something to think about. What's most important? Where do you want to direct your energy? So once you highlight it, you would click this button and add your comment. And you again want to look for places they're doing things right. So something like, I like your direction, or I think the theme you've chosen is interesting, but maybe be more clear about this. So you would click your comment on it, and the student can resolve it, and then you can also edit it or delete it if you feel like you wanted to change it. So I'll delete that comment. So I try to make about 3, depending on how much time I have, 3 to 5 comments. I try not to comment too much on format and stuff like that. I often look at topic sentences, analysis, and thesis, and that's just for my discipline. But for your discipline, think about what's most important. Because again, you don't want to overwhelm them. You maybe want to give 3 to 5 comments, let them work on it. They might come back to you and send it to you again. And say, so you might have more opportunities for commenting. So don't feel like you have to get it all out there in the Google Doc. And then I tend to email the student back and just say, hey, I looked at your paper. Here's what I'm noticing, kind of like an overall comment. And just to remind them, hey, I looked at it, take a look at it. So that's Google Docs. The last thing I'll show you is Zoom. So I just clicked it. I have it downloaded. You don't have to download it to use it. But I like having it there. So you just need to make an account and all that jazz. And once you have it all set up, you would click New Meeting. And then it pops up with this screen, which is kind of messing up my other stuff. So I'm going to exit out of this. Actually, wait, I need to show you how to invite people. So you would click this invite message button down here. And you can do an email invitation this way, or if I can get out of this end meeting. Okay, if you wanted to just tell students how to meet up with you, then you would click over here. So we have copy invitation, and I'll show you the meeting invitation, and there's all of this stuff here. But you really want to focus on this link, join Zoom meeting. So you could email this out in an announcement, and what I have done in the past is I still set appointment times. So instead of just like, hey, pop into my Zoom meeting, I usually will say, 5 to 5:15 or 5:20. I have signups, so then each individual student would kind of get their online time. So that's Zoom. And to overview, we have a lot of different ways of going about online tutoring, and the 4 main ways I use that are through announcements, through SpeedGrader, Zoom, and Google Docs. Good luck to everyone with their transition, and I know you all are going to do great. Go MT2C.